Section 1. There are days when nothing is wrong, but nothing feels good either. There are days when, from the outside, nothing seems wrong. No crisis big enough to make you stop. No bad news that keeps you anxious all day. Nothing falls apart badly enough to give you a clear reason to feel tired. Everything unfolds as usual. You wake up on time. You go to work, or begin your day the same way you always do. You complete what needs to be done. You reply to the messages that need replying. Work keeps moving. Life keeps flowing. You're not falling behind. You're not being left out. There's no obvious trouble. If someone asks how you are, you can honestly say, "I'm fine." And that answer isn't exactly a lie. Nothing bad is happening to you. You don't have a specific reason to complain. You don't want to make a big deal out of nothing. It's just that answer doesn't say everything. It doesn't say that you went through the whole day without a single moment that genuinely made you feel happy. It doesn't say that you did everything right, but didn't feel connected to what you were doing. It doesn't say that when the day ended, you weren't sure whether you had truly lived it or merely completed it. "I'm fine" sometimes only means this. Nothing is wrong enough to be named, but nothing is right enough to hold on to. And on days like that, a kind of tiredness begins to appear. Not loud, not dramatic, but just enough to make you realize you're moving through life without really touching it. Those days aren't heavy. You don't wake up feeling hopeless. There's no sadness pressing on your chest. No clear negative thoughts running through your mind. But they aren't light either. You wake up and do what you always do. Open your eyes, reach for your phone, glance at a few notifications. Get ready for the day in a sequence you know by heart. Everything runs smoothly. Nothing feels off. You complete one task, then move on to the next. Nothing breaks. Nothing goes wrong. Nothing is late. At the end of the day, you go to bed on time. Or maybe a little later. Not because you're excited to stay up. And not because you're eager for tomorrow. The day passes neatly. Organized. Orderly. It causes trouble for no one. Not even for you. But when you look back, you can't quite remember how you felt that day. There's no moment joyful enough to share with someone else. And no sadness heavy enough to give yourself permission to stop. You remember what you did, but you don't remember where you were inside those actions. All that remains is a sense of flatness. Not pain. Not sadness. Just a lack. As if you lived through a full day in terms of time. But not a single moment truly touched you. Nothing you want to hold on to. No feeling that makes you sense you've lived a little deeper. And it's precisely this flatness, quiet, undramatic, that begins to exhaust you. In a way that's very hard to name. The fatigue on days like this is hard to recognize. It doesn't feel like the tiredness that comes from doing too much. The kind that settles in your body. The kind a good night's sleep can fix. It doesn't feel like the exhaustion of sadness either. When you can name the pain and know exactly what hurts. This is a different kind of tired. It doesn't live in the body. It lives inside. A slow, steady draining. So gradual. You don't notice it as it happens. You still wake up on time. You still get your work done. You still keep up with your usual rhythm. From the outside, there are no obvious signs of burnout. But inside, something no longer feels full. You're not exhausted enough to stop. But you no longer have the energy to feel excited about anything. You don't want to quit. You don't want to give up. You still have responsibilities. You still fulfill your role. It's just that you no longer feel pulled forward. There's nothing you're looking forward to. Nothing that makes tomorrow feel inviting. No sense that what you're doing is leading toward something meaningful. Everything continues. Not because you want it to, but because you're used to it. You move on autopilot. You know what needs to be done. And you do it. Without much thought. Without strong emotion. Like a machine that's been programmed perfectly, but is no longer connected to the reason it runs. And what makes this kind of fatigue dangerous isn't its intensity. It's how easy it is to ignore. You tell yourself, it's probably just a little tiredness. Everyone goes through phases like this. And then you keep living, carrying that slow depletion with you. Until one day, you suddenly realize you've been tired for a very long time. You just never stopped to really look at it. Some afternoons pass quietly. Nothing urgent. No obvious pressure. You sit in front of the screen, doing familiar tasks, glancing at the clock now and then. You're not impatient, not irritated. You're just waiting. Waiting for the workday to end. Not because you hate what you're doing. You don't think it's wrong either. You just don't feel anything special about it anymore. Tasks that once held your focus now feel flat. You finish one thing, move on to the next. Exactly as expected. Everything runs fine. Nothing to complain about. But nothing to hold on to either. The afternoon passes like that. Not fast. Not slow. Just without leaving a trace. Then evening comes. You get home. Close the door. Put your things down. You don't feel drained. You don't feel like you desperately need rest. You just feel a little empty. You stand there for a few seconds, wondering what to do next. Watch a movie. Read a book. Go out? None of the options truly pull you in. You're not tired enough to go to bed early. But you're not interested enough to start something new. So you pick up your phone. Not because you're looking for anything specific, but because you don't know what else to do. You scroll a little. Watch a little. Read a few lines. Look at a few images. Then scroll again. Time passes gently. Not unpleasant. But not meaningful either. Until it's late enough to give you a reasonable excuse to go to sleep. The day ends as neatly as it began. Nothing truly wrong. But nothing you want to remember. And as you lie there, just before sleep takes you, you realize another day has passed. Quiet. Complete. Yet you're not sure whether you were truly inside it at all. The most unsettling part of days like these is not sadness. If it were sadness, you could name it. You could allow yourself to stop. You would have a reason to be vulnerable. But this is different. It's a strange feeling that you are alive, but not truly inside your life. You are present in form. You speak. You work. You move through each hour of the day. Yet inside, it feels as if you are standing slightly to the side, watching your own life pass by, unable to touch it. You're not in pain. You're not in crisis. There's no single event big enough to explain what you're feeling. And because there's no clear reason, you begin to deny it. You tell yourself, maybe I'm just overthinking. Everyone has days like this. It's nothing serious. Those thoughts sound reasonable, mature, easy to accept. They allow you to keep going without asking questions. They help you push the feeling aside without having to face it. And that's exactly what you do. You push it away. You get busy again. You keep fulfilling your role. Life keeps moving. You remain fine. Except that each time you push that feeling away, a very small part of you gets pushed away with it. Not lost. Just set aside. Unheard. And if this happens often enough, you can no longer remember the last time you were fully present. In a single day, you're still living, but the feeling of being alive is slowly fading. But when those "nothing is wrong" days last long enough, they leave marks. Not obvious ones. Not the kind you can point to and say, "This is the problem." They show up as subtle shifts. Quiet and gradual. You smile less. Not because you're sad, but because the smile no longer rises naturally. It appears on cue. More reflex than joy. You look forward to things less. Not because you're hopeless, but because tomorrow arrives. Without fear. And without excitement. You're still okay. You still do everything that needs to be done. You still keep up with the rhythm of your life. You still have no concrete reason to complain. You just don't feel alive anymore. You no longer sense that you're moving toward something. You no longer feel an inner pull in what you're doing. Everything is correct, but everything is flat. And within that flatness, a very quiet question begins to form. Not loud. Not urgent. It drifts in during the stillest moments. Has life slowly become flatter? Or am I tired? In a way I've never known how to name? That question doesn't panic you. It simply makes you pause. Because deep inside, you begin to sense something true. If you keep living like this, nothing will collapse. But nothing meaningful will truly be built either. Perhaps real exhaustion is not the moment when everything collapses. Not when you break down from overload. Not when life throws a major crisis at you and forces you to stop. But when everything continues to function. The schedule still runs. The work keeps moving forward. You keep fulfilling your role. From the outside, there are no signs that anything is wrong. Yet inside, you no longer feel present in it. You do everything right. But you don't feel pulled forward. You move through each day. But you don't feel like you're going anywhere. And from those days, where nothing is wrong, but nothing feels good either, another state begins to take shape. Quiet. Undramatic. It doesn't scare you. It simply makes you restless. A very subtle unease. Not strong enough to call anxiety, but strong enough to keep you from feeling at ease. And a quiet loneliness. Not because no one is around you, but because you're no longer sure what you're living for. You're surrounded by tasks, yet unclear why you need to keep doing them. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you no longer know what is guiding you forward. And perhaps that's when another question begins to appear. No longer a question about how you feel, but a question about meaning. What am I doing all of this for? If I keep going like this, where am I actually headed?